Happy Tuesday. So apparently there was another school shooting, and I'm thinking about this on my way to work, so I decided it might be a long video because I have a lot to say, and so I better start recording now. God, this is like, it sucks, you know. I did actually come across a video yesterday. It might have been a TED Talk, but it was the mother of one of the boys from Columbine. And I think sometimes we forget to think about the parents involved in these school shootings, you know. And it was interesting to hear her perspective, and from her, angle as a mother, I can't even fathom. It's like my worst nightmare. Especially when I have a child that has some anger issues, and that was part of the reason I pulled him out of school. Public school was because with his already issues, I think putting him in an environment that I know there's bullying going on and taunting going on, why would I subject him to that if I can take him out of it? Just my personal point of view. They had a lot of but he needs to socialize and blah blah blah. No, fuck you. I know my kid. Like, this is what's right for him, and you're not going to tell me different, that he needs to socialize. He's 14 years old at the time. 15. No, he's 15 now. So he was like 13, 14 at the time. Don't tell me what my kid needs, I don't know. It's like, where do we start with this issue? I think there's no one singular starting point. I think that it needs to begin almost like you put the issue in the middle, and you put out spokes like a bicycle wheel, and each spoke is going to represent different areas that need to be focused on, all at the same time, not individually, like all at the same time. I think that it starts at home. I think that it starts in the schools. I think that it, it starts with not gun control. Like, I don't believe in taking people's guns away, but there's got to be something that can be done to make these guns less accessible to these kids, Just like there was that little 9-year-old that shot his 14-year-old sister in Mississippi, How the hell did he get a gun? And then his aunt's trying to say, oh, it was a toy gun. He thought it was a toy gun. If he's not knowledgeable enough to know when he picks up something, whether it's a real gun or a toy gun, there's a problem. Like, are you kidding me? So, I think there's a lot of different areas that this needs to be looked at, I think, they talk about mental health and help in the schools. Well, here's the thing. I was in school, and I don't know about y'all, but when I was in my deep, dark moments where I was hating life and hated everything, I didn't want to go to some fucking teacher who is going to spout the same lines that every other teacher would have spouted and stroke my, ego, or coddle me, or give me nonsensical answers that are not concrete for me to utilize. I think that, they say that there's not enough in the schools because of money. Well, I think that there's got to be a way for people who are qualified or able to be able to do it with outside funding. There's got to be outside funding somewhere. There's a ton of millionaires out there. Fund this shit. Our kids need help. This world is getting crazier and crazier, and they're not feeling heard, and they're not feeling listened to, and they're feeling isolated, and they're feeling overwhelmed and angry And I don't think they need some adult talking at them. I don't think that's going to help. It didn't help me. You know, it's like the Charlie Brown thing. When you'd go to an adult to talk about your problems, it was like all of their responses were like, wah, 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 wah. You know, it goes in one ear and out the other. It's the nature of teenagers, in my opinion. I think that peer groups that they can talk to, but not people that they have to see every day. You know, I am not going to talk to a classmate that then has the potential of turning around and telling everybody else what I talked about. That's not going to help either, you know. So I think they need a safe sounding board where they can say what they feel like they need to say, and they're not going to be judged for it, and they're not going to get some nonsensical answer that doesn't do them any damn good. You know, there's got to be, I don't know, I'm on the right track on that. I just can't, like, form the full thought. But, you know, back to the home front, my daughter came to me, and my daughter doesn't live with me. She hasn't lived with me for several years for other reasons, not any fault of her own. But she came to me with a friend who was struggling and was like, you know, I know that you... She felt safe bringing him to me, that I could help him and be a listening ear and be a supportive adult for him. And I think he felt not threatened because I'm not part of his immediate life. You know, I'm thousands of miles away and I don't know him from Adam, so I could objectively listen to what he had to say. And, you know, I gave some of the standard answers, but then I also gave him some hard truths, you know. He needed to hear some hard truths. And I hope that it was helpful for him, you know, but I think that having that kind of situation makes sense, you know. I would rather talk to an adult, either online or on the phone, that I know I'm never going to meet. They're not any part of my area. You know, they're not going to not threaten, but that they can just be a listening ear, you know. And I'm not talking about safe places and all that other crap, but at the same time, like, these kids are not being taught how to deal with their emotions and their feelings because their parents didn't learn how to deal with their feelings and emotions. Because this is the generation now where we were all way too young having children and had no fucking idea what life was about. And then we had kids and we're trying to raise these kids to be successful adults when we're still figuring our own shit out, you know? So how the hell is that going to come out to be a great thing? You know, my friends that I have that followed the little social bubble of, you know, go to college, get a degree, become a dentist, become a whatever that makes a lot of money, and, you know, go to church every week and have these stable environments where their kids are in private school and they waited till they were older, you know, in their late 20s to early 30s to have kids. Those kids have a lot better chance than those of us that had kids at 17, 18, 19, 20, yada, yada. That we weren't financially stable, we weren't in stable relationships, we didn't know who we were, we had no, you know, we were still trying to find our own footing. So I think it starts in a lot of different places, and I think that more people need to stand up. We need to stand up and step forward and do something, because this is out of control. And it's not only about how horrific these kids are that are doing the shooting. These are souls that are screaming out for somebody to give a shit, for somebody to listen, for somebody to understand them, for somewhere to belong, for the bullying to stop, the taunting to stop. You know, that's what these kids need. And if we start by raising children that are accepting of others and can be supportive of each other instead of bullying and taunting each other, and I know this is an old yada yada as well, but it really is the truth, you know. If you've ever had a chance to hear some of the shit that goes on in these schools between the students, it breaks your heart. It makes you just want to cry. It's horrible. They're horrible to each other. As horrible as adults are to each other, it's far worse because the children don't have any kind of emotional stability yet to be able to internalize or externalize any of this. You know, they absorb it all. As an adult, we've, you know, become more jaded and more cynical or whatever, and we've built a little bit of a shell to be able to let some of this shit roll off our back, you know. We know more who we are, and we, you know, have more of a self-identity. And, you know, if somebody says something mean, a lot of times, at least for me, you know, I don't give a shit. If you think I'm ugly, I don't give a shit. You know, I try to keep my voice down low just because I don't want to be obnoxious on the ears. But if you think I'm obnoxious because of the way I talk or because of my voice, I don't give a shit. The message isn't for you then. It just isn't. You know, if people want to judge me because of how I dress or how I carry myself, I don't give a shit. Move along. I ain't got time for you. You know, but kids aren't able to do that. They aren't able to do that yet. You know, my kid has, well, both of my kids have their own separate kinds of issues. And my son has his issues. But for the most part, at the end of the day, my kids tell me things that a lot of kids would not feel free and open to tell their parents. You know, I have prided myself, and I've done a better job than even I thought I did, because my kids have come to me with things that surprised me, you know, and I'm able to not react, but just be there to listen and, you know, maybe give a little bit of advice. But I always want my kids to be able to come to me and tell me anything they need to tell me, and know that it's okay. I'm not going to scream at them. I'm not going to punish them. I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to tell them they're right or wrong. I mean, in the sense that, you know, I will tell them from my experience so that they can judge from what I know, you know, but I'm thankful, and I reiterate to both of them all of the time that they can come to me with anything, you know, and I don't know, I just think there's a lot of different areas we need to look at, and we need to be sending, I'm always trying to send out calming, loving energy everywhere I go. Send out the vibe that if somebody needs a shoulder or an ear, that I'm here. You know, I can't solve their problems for them, but I can listen. And I know from my own personal experience, when I'm going through something, the best therapy is to talk it out. To talk it out and not feel like I'm burdening somebody else, or to not feel like somebody's point of view of me is going to change because of what I say. Because for me, when I've had things to say that I had nobody to talk to, that's what kept me from talking to somebody, especially anybody I know. You know, I'm not going to tell anybody I know, but I'll tell a stranger online because they don't know me from Adam, you know, and they can give objective advice or just listen and be like, I understand. I've been there. I get it, you know. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts for the day. It's a super long video. I apologize. Let's hear some comments. Like this video. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get some conversation going. And, am I making any sense? Talk to you later. Bye.